What's up, Liron here, and in today's video we're doing another Edward Seago study. I've been really enjoying this, I've been on a real kick of just master studies and trying to imitate other people just to figure out what I can learn about myself and about their work. So in this example, it's a bit of a simpler painting. It's just one initial wash and then another layer of very loose, very watered down washes. But the real challenge is in getting that impression to look good and still look realistic and read well from afar, okay? So we're gonna practice that, and you have to understand you will not get the exact same result due to the nature of watercolor. What you wanna focus on is the composition, how he builds his work, why he plans it the way he plans it, okay? So let's see what we can learn from this one. So we'll get started on this study. Now, the fun part really will be the initial wash, in which we'll just do a very simple kind of maneuver. Later on it will become a little more complex with the technique. So I'm starting with a bit of blue, and you know, as I mentioned in my studies, I never try to get the perfect color in. I'm more interested, if anything, in the harmony and the temperature. So I'm not trying to imitate exactly what I see. So now we're gonna warm it up. That's what I care about, the warmth. But I like that I pick up here, notice with my pure yellow, I pick up a lot of what's left in the palette from earlier. That can really help with avoiding too perfect colors, you know? I like when the colors aren't as perfect. Let's add a bit water to the mix here. Pull this downwards and then go back to some blue, like that. And we'll now get rid of some of the gaps here. This first wash is really good for indicating the temperature, but don't stress over it. It's not going to have too big of an impact on the painting process in general. Okay, it's just to set up some things to begin with. But I will say that the smaller white dots will become more apparent if we don't get rid of them now. So here we go. We're going to let this dry and then come back. So now it's time for the second wash, and I decided to do something I barely ever do, which is, you know, first paint that first layer. I just thought it would be fun. I'm drawing over it. It's easier to do with a B pencil, like a 6B or a 4B, than using a harder lead. A harder lead won't show through on the paint. The paint changes the paper's surface and you can't draw on it usually. So you have to use a B pencil. Now, this is all I need, really. Just an indication of the horizon line, a couple of shapes here for the trees and random objects, and we're pretty much done and ready to paint this. So I'm going to start with the right section because it looks a little easier. Everything here is so muted in any case that I don't think it really matters this much. So let's get started. A very watery wash here. And just start to put in the shapes that I see. So we have this triangle, could be a boat, could be a house, could be a boathouse, who knows. And then the reflection, and it's all just one big shape. And it may seem a little too dark now. It could be too dark, by the way. I think it's fine. I think it's so watery that it's gonna dry much lighter anyway. Then we have the other mast here. What I like the most is how one of them meets the center and another is to the right of this, whatever that is, which is a really nice effect in terms of variety. So I want to preserve that. Now we have a bunch of trees here, the reflections that I need to continue, try and stick to it as much as I can. Let's change it up a bit like that. Too much water here, let's soak it back up. And move on, trying to reflect what I see, but not being too perfect here. Now here there's, I don't know what it is really, it could be a shack or something like that. I'm gonna put in just a moment. Just trying to vary the different colors of the mixes. So here it is, kind of a shack thing. Then it continues with a reflection of the trees probably. And again, I'm not doing the exact same thing as I see in the reference because I actually want to match it to myself and the way I perceive the scene while still maintaining some of the impression. Now, this is all about the timing. What I'm doing now, I may get the timing right, I may get it wrong. It looks like I was fairly accurate. Now I'm going to use a thicker mix just for this shape here of the rooftop or whatever. Then a bit of blue under that, like so. And then I'm going to charge again into what I already have, a bit more paint, like that. That'll help to spread it out a little more. I'm going to reflect the red that I see up top here in the reflections at the bottom. A bit of a line. And I think that's it for the for the right section. We may revisit it later on. Now let's get on with the left one. Now here it feels like a very dry brush kind of beginning, as you can see at the top here. So I'm going to try and go for that. And then reflect it at the bottom. Now, what's really important here is to blend out this side, because it's super blended and light, like this. This kind of disappears into the distance. Let's add a bit more of everything to the mix, so preserving the how it's muted. And as we get closer, it will start to become a little more orange, perhaps. Now, in all of this big mess to the left, he actually did a pretty good job with the details. It actually tells the story very nicely, some blades of grass. It actually looks like what it should be. So that's a really impressive feat. Let's connect some of these shapes and turn it a little darker and stronger as it gets closer to us, like so. And a little more, perhaps, orangey. And the painting, as you can hopefully see, it's not really orangey, but I'm fine with that. So let's do it like that. A bit more blue to neutralize. And a bit more to actually darken the mix. There are quite a few dark areas here. And there are a couple of blades of these plants, whatever these are, that are important, so I will put them in. And a couple of random shapes here. And you have to do everything while it's still wet, because you want the shapes to merge perfectly. Otherwise, they're all going to look very split. So a bit of yellow and some red. And then we'll try getting these stalks of whatever that is. So that's the stalk. And then some leaves. Nothing perfect, but we'll do the trick. Another one here, a little smaller. Another one here, and reflect these underneath. Reflect this stalk underneath. Reflect these shapes underneath. And I think, funny enough, this is pretty much done. Let's add just a bit more paint here, if it's still wet, hopefully, and get it to disperse a bit. And this is the beauty about these scenes. We're pretty much done. Just one layer and then another one, and a lot of it is really exploring what you can achieve with wet and wet. When you do this study and you try to imitate what you see, especially when it comes to wet and wet, which has such a strong element of randomness, you will inevitably get a different result. What you want to do is, in addition to the study, do your own kind of study of wet and wet and try out different techniques, see how it works for you, okay? Hopefully this makes sense. I can darken this a bit more, just to bring it a little more to the front, but I don't have to. I'm gonna do it just for the kick of it, but it's not really a must. Let's bring it a little more forward, create the separation between these two sections, add a couple of other random stalks on the way. Just having fun, and with that we'll wrap it up. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this process from start to finish. I think I did a decent job with it, especially I love the way the first wash looks, and I also really like this section with the reflections of the different stalks of whatever plant it is that grows on the sides of rivers. It's just a beautiful scene, and it really brings back my fire of wanting to paint scenes that are a little looser and a little lighter, because I tend to go for punchy contrasts all the time, lots of cityscapes, lots of harsh edges, and maybe I want to take it easy for a while and work on some open landscapes, do some more misty, foggy kinds of scenes. So we'll see about that, but this really inspires me to do that. Don't forget to drop this like on this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you still haven't. I have tons of other videos. There are quite a lot of new subscribers recently, so I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me. I'm trying to get to and help as many people as I can. So take care, and I will talk to you again real soon.